is the evolution of the mobile operating system, is it benefiting the UX design, the UX industry, or is it helping or is it hurting?
I mean, it's helping. I mean, definitely. We're a company that started based on a new mobile development framework.
I guess hurting might be the wrong word, but I guess what I'm trying to get at is, there's a lot that goes into UX. And so if an operating system is basically making decisions with regards to what the user experience is going to be, I guess what I was getting at with my question, and you alluded to this, is that Apple does have a pretty tight control on what's going to happen on an Apple device, and Android and then other platforms, potentially Windows, maybe allows for some more flexibility, although Windows goes into tiling and stuff like that. So is it, as a UX designer, you've got to work on all platforms, you've got all these properties. Can you talk a little bit about, from a UX person's perspective, how do you manage all these different platforms? And like I said, is it helpful at the end of the day?
Yeah, I mean, it's supremely helpful to see the marketplace fight a battle that only makes things more possible. And especially Apple started the game rolling in a really nice way for mobile and set a really high benchmark that everybody's been trying to follow. Seeing Windows take on a completely different tack for the way they display content and the way the user interacts with the applications is for those of us that actually develop and design for that space is extremely helpful. I mean, it gets your head out of a box and it makes you think in directions that you hadn't thought of before, and it does the same for the user. So the next step for you is something completely different than a week ago, and it becomes more exciting. And we all want to love our jobs, and it just makes it a lot easier to do that.
As a UX person, what's been the biggest leap that you have taken in your career? It could be before mobile, but does anyone have anyone have that $300 million button time in their career that was like, wow, we did something small that ended up being really big?
So, I mean, I think, and this is kind of more of a like coming from the early .com. I think a lot of things in my early career are things where you feel like you have to be the next Steve Jobs to innovate something as opposed to make a small incremental improvement on something that's ubiquitous. And when I went from working on teams that were like the 5-guy team to the 500-person team where we were doing a very large-scale application for the US government, we needed a way to do usability testing federated, meaning I had 4 levels of customers that approximated to 500,000 users plus, and we built a small feedback engine which allowed me to create screen designs, post a workflow, have a 1 through 5 score on it, and have someone say, hey, I like this screen or this flow, and judge and quantitate these things. And we then would produce weekly reports on like, hey, here's all this UI we're building. I mean, it was like, at the time, it was like hundreds of JSP type screen application. And we had these reports, and it was like 5 years later, I'm trying to build apps for realtors in the housing bubble. I'm like, we built this awesome user feedback app that we just needed for us to do a report, and this could have been a great product idea. So like there's a lot of, I don't know about you, what you guys think, but essentially, you're so busy doing the work that you walk by certain, you pass certain innovations, or you do things that you then see other people do and put a moniker on or something. You're like, man, that guy, I did that 5 years ago, that kind of a thing.
So you're saying feedback was kind of one of your...
I mean, feedback's huge. There's companies that right now will, you give them your app and they will do exactly what we did 10 years ago, which is...
Userfly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mine was, just like all of us, we kind of eat, sleep, and breathe technology, and I was surfing around the web one night, and I happened to see where it was originally was written for MooTools, but it was a live search. So the live search, basically, as you typed into the text box, you didn't have to do a query and wait for the return results set. It basically parsed through the list in real time. I had seen it. I thought it was really cool. John Resnick from jQuery actually rewrote it for jQuery specifically. And I said, wow, that's really cool. From a user experience standpoint, I can see its advantage. Where can I use it? At that particular time, I didn't have anywhere to utilize it, but I kept it in the back of my head. At that redesign of Wyndham Worldwide that I was telling you about is that one of the most painful things I was actually experienced to was sitting next to a call center agent when you called in to book your timeshare resort or hotel. Hey Bob, do you want to go to the beach? Yes. Beach query, wait for return set. Do you want a room view or a pool view or a ocean view? I want an ocean view. Query, goes back out. It was mental ping pong. So you literally saw the conversation bounce in and out of the phone from either end, back and forth, and I was like, oh my God, I've got to fix this.